bow, chicka bow wow, chicka chicka bow wow, chicka chicka bow wow wow, wow wow wow. Hello and welcome to yet another broadcast. Pirate broadcast. Arr, matey, it be I, PoGokeRo. And I come to you with more information. Wait, how do I do this? There it is. All right. Yeah, there it goes. All right. Yeah, more information. So, yeah. Hello. Here I am in my Minecraft world. It's after work, right? So I can do this. I'm allowed to do this. And, like, nobody is going to pay attention to anything I'm doing because they're all either watching... Here, I need a stream health. They're either watching the Derek Chauvin trial, or they're out enjoying this beautiful weather right now, or I don't know, or what else is going on? Representative Matt Gaetz, if he said this morning that he's going to retire early from Congress and take a job at Newsmax. And everyone's like, "Oh my God, that's crazy! Why would he do that?" It's like, and then this afternoon, it comes out, Representative Matt Gaetz is under investigation for having improper relations with a 17-year-old girl. So there's that. So it wasn't just that he was quitting to whatever. It just wasn't that he was quitting just to quit. It was he wants to avoid the fact that he's under investigation. Like, he wasn't going to make it anyways type thing. But he got out ahead of it, so there it is. Okay, what else is going on? The Derek Chauvin trial. Oh, man. I haven't been watching it directly because I can't handle it. There's no way. There's no way. I already know that the police are terrible, and I know that the police should be abolished. Like, I already know that. I've been watching police brutality for a long time, and I'm not black, but I've known about it for a long time. And me pointing it out got me lots of, like, bad feedback from people. Like, yeah, for a long time. For a long time. So I don't need to see it. I don't need to hear it again. I don't need to know about how murderous the police can be. I know. But we get to see it all over again if you want to get re-traumatized. And that's going on, right? So you got to think, all right, I just did a show on the idea of symbolic interactionism. Let me go through that again real quick with you. So, like, I'm not going to come out of nowhere. Ooh, hold on. Because you're going to want to know what the hell I'm talking about. Symbolic interactionism, right? So we're going to slip over to sociology real quick. Because, like, that's the thing I like about sociology. Like, it's not like something you can put away. It's not... It's not like, you know, like, I'm going to put on my teacher's hat and go out and be a teacher or something, or I'm going to put on my engineer hat and go out and be an engineer and then take my engineer hat off, right? Sociology are like a pair of goggles that you fuse to your eyeballs, and they never, ever, ever go away. They never go away. You can never take them off. Once you put them on, they never go off. So symbolic interactionism. Remember that too far ahead. Yeah, that's where to start. Symbolic interactionism, history, development, and examples, right? It was just a quick thing. Oh yeah, this is by Nikki Lisa Cole, PhD, Professor Dr. Cole. Thank you, Dr. Cole, for this for your thing here. All right. So remember, sociologists trace the theoretical roots of the interactionist perspective to Max Weber, and we act based on the interpretation of the world around us. So here, I'm going to hop over to here real quick, back to 3. dude. I'm so lost. Okay. Oh. Nope. I'm supposed to be over here. Yeah. So it starts with Max Weber, right? It starts with Max Weber. Last week, I talked about Mead. I talked about Herbert Mead and the me and the I. And real quick, right? The self is not just you're born with it. The self is something that is created in tandem with society. You cannot have the self without society. You need both. You can't have one without the other. Okay? So it looks like at first that the individual is separate from society. But when you understand that the person's mind, in order for it to develop, needs society, then you realize that the person really isn't an independent entity of society. The individual is a lot more connected to society than they want to believe. I mean, like in a billion different ways. And so we discover who we are in relation to society. That's why I keep harping on relationships being the big thing. Relationships being the big deal. Being more real than anything else, even though you can't see them directly in the 3 dimensions. But relationships are where it's at. So a human can only know who they are. An individual can only know who they are in relation to society. And the way you break that down, one way of breaking that down is through symbolic interactionism. Max Weber started it. But we're going to go over to George Herbert Mead and Cooley and Mead, because they talk about the self. And that's what I talked about in my last show. I talked about real quick the self, because yourself in relation to society. Now, there's 2 parts of the self, right? There's the me, and then there's the I. I do stuff, but stuff happens to me. I am the subject. Me is the object, but they're both one thing. Ta-da! Isn't that funny? Oh gosh, you're gonna see that everywhere. Okay. And so we found out last week that the human receives direction and information from society about proper behavior. And then the human then puts out stuff, whatever, themselves, into society. And then they discover the quality of their behaviors by observing the reactions of other humans. And then the person will learn to see themselves from the perspectives of other people. And they're able to bend their consciousness. Everyone does it, and then that's how you grow up to be. And then when you reach full maturity, you're able to take the perspective of society in general, the most generalized other, the most aggregate of values and mores and folkways. You're able to take that perspective, even though that the person society doesn't exist. You're still able to take that perspective. That's a fully developed human being. Okay. Now, let's go back to the beginning, and that's where I wanted to start with Max Weber. All right, and that was, now we're talking with Dr. Cole. Thank you, Dr. Cole. Max Weber is the father of symbolic interactionism. Max Weber. We act based on our interpretation of the world around us. In other words, action follows a meaning. You have to know. You have to understand or have meaning to have meaningful action in the world. Once you understand the context, when you understand context tells you what to do. And then so your action is going to come in response to the context. Context is super important. It's all about context. Okay. Bow, wow. Symbolic interaction theory, or symbolic interactionism, is one of the most important perspectives in the field of sociology, providing a key theoretical foundation for much of the research conducted by sociologists. The central principle of the interactionist perspective is that the meaning we derive from and attribute to the world around us is a social construction produced by everyday social interaction. So meaning is something that we have to make. We have to manufacture. Meaning does not exist out here in the world. You will not find meaning out there. Nope, not in nature. Nope. You will not find meaning. Meaning is something that we humans create together. We produce meaning, significance. We create society and values. We have to, and we do that through every time we interact with one another. Because every time we interact, we're choosing to behave in one way and not in another. We're choosing to react in one way and not in another. Or maybe we don't choose and that's the way we act. And that becomes, but whatever. That's a whole other thing. The thing is that meaning is produced socially by everyone. It's socially constructed. And it gets to the point where this social construction becomes so ordinary, so mundane, that it becomes invisible and it becomes reified. It becomes like you almost think it becomes real, like it's a real thing. It's not that you forget that it's socially constructed and just an imaginary thing. You believe it's an actual real thing. So, but the thing is that you have to remember is that it's produced. You make it. It doesn't just live out there. You have to make it. Humans make it. All right. This perspective is focused on how we use and interpret things as symbols to communicate with each other, how we create and maintain a self that we present to the world and a sense of self within us, and how we create and maintain the reality that we believe to be true. So symbolic interactionism is focused on things as symbols, obviously, right? Symbols, meaning, communication, the self that we present and the self that's inside. So another way of thinking about it, right? Symbols that become so ingrained that we forget that they're just symbols and we believe them to be real things. For example, rich kids of Instagram. This image from the Tumblr feed, Rich Kids of Instagram, which visually catalogs the lifestyles of the world's wealthiest teens and young adults, exemplifies this theory. In this photo, the young woman depicted uses the symbols of champagne and a private jet to signal wealth and social status. The sweatshirt describes her as raised on champagne, as well as her access to a private jet. Communicates a lifestyle of wealth and privilege, which serves to reaffirm her belonging within this very elite and small social group. These symbols also place her in a superior position within the larger social hierarchies of society. By sharing the image on social media, it and the symbols that compose it act as a declaration that says, this is who I am. So she's telling everyone that she's hella rich, that she's got connections, that she's got money, she's got access to privilege. She's raised on champagne. Champagne is rich stuff, right? Bubbly stuff. She's on a private jet. I can't get on a private jet, can you? No, you got to have connections. You got to be rich. You got to be privileged to get on private jets. So she's telling everyone on Instagram, yo, everyone, my opinions matter. My opinions matter because look at the symbols I carry. That's why my opinion and matters to you and why I'm able to influence you. Because look at all the symbols I have. Look at all the symbols I have. Look at all the symbols I have. Blonde, brunette, redhead. Herbert Bloomer developed a clear definition of symbolic interactionism while studying under and later collaborating with Mead at the University of Chicago. Yay, Chicago. Okay. Drawing from Mead's theory, Bloomer coined the term symbolic interaction in 1937. He later published, quite literally, the book on this theoretical perspective titled Symbolic Interactionism. In this work, he laid out 3 basic principles of this theory. We act toward people and things based on the meaning we interpret from them. For example, when we sit at a table in a restaurant, we expect that those who approach us will be employees of the establishment. And because of this, they will be willing to answer questions about the menu, take our order, and bring us food and drink. Oh, no. Dude. See, this isn't always the best. Because I'm in the way. Alright, here we go. There we go. Okay. No! Okay, those meanings are the product produced of social interaction between people. They are social and cultural constructs. You make them. Continuing with the same example, we have come to have expectations of what it means to be a customer in a restaurant based on prior social interactions in which the meaning of restaurant employees has been established. You know what to do and what to expect because you've been there before. Maybe as children, you watched your adults, parents show you, and you saw other adults, you watched them, how they interacted, and you learned, oh, this is what you do in this kind of place. Meaning making and understanding is an ongoing and interpretive process produced, made, during which the initial meaning might remain the same, evolve slightly, or change radically. In concert with the waitress who approaches us, asks if she can help us, and then takes our order, the meaning of the waitress is re-established through that interaction. So every time we do it, we reinforce it, the meaning of what it means to be a waitress and a customer. Every time we do it, we reinforce it. We make it the same. If you went into a restaurant and just started getting your own food by yourself, right, the people would probably like kick you out because that's not the way you do it. Okay. Following these core tenets, the symbolic interaction perspective reveals that reality as we perceive it is a social construct produced through ongoing social interaction and only exists within a given social context, i.e. gender. Gender. There is no such thing as gender. Gender is just a behavior. That's all. There is nothing out here, nothing solid, nothing you can point to that says gender. There's no standard. There's nothing. There's nothing. You can scream and shout all you want, point to genetics all you want. I don't care. Gender is not there. The only place you're going to find gender is in your head. It's a perspective. It's an idea. And you see it being played out by humans. And that's why. And people think it's real, that it's solid, because it's been done so many times. They've seen it happen so many times in the past that they can't possibly believe it could be any different. But yet it can. And it does. And it is. But because of this broken idea in their head that they think it can only be black and white, it can only be this way, that they reify, they are causing real harm and damage. They cause real violence with their broken ideas. It really happens. Conversion therapy is literally torture. It's literally torture. Conversion therapy should be outlawed throughout the country because it is literally torture. Gender is a construct. Gender is a construct. It's just something that people do. That's it. If you do it a little different, it doesn't mean anything, right? It just means you do it different. If you're not hurting anyone, right? If you're not hurting anyone and you're not breaking any laws, who cares what gender you want to be? If you want to be a gender of blah, go ahead. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't hurt anyone else. Go for it. Knock yourself out. Freedom. And if these people try to stop you, well, I'm going to stop them because that's infringing upon your freedom. And my freedom is incumbent upon your freedom. Well, we're in this together, guys, or folks, Americans. Our freedom is interdependent. As Americans, our freedom is dependent upon the freedom of one another. That means if one of us is oppressed, all of us are oppressed. Gender is a social construct. Do you understand now? Do you get it? Going back to Max Weber, right? Max Weber was the first guy to think of this thing. And his idea was the iron cage. The iron cage. Max Weber's concept of the iron cage is even more relevant today than when he first wrote about it in 1905. Simply put, Weber suggested that the technological and economic relationships that organized and grew out of capitalist production became themselves fundamental forces in society. Thus, if you were born into a society organized this way, with the division of labor and hierarchical social structure that comes with it, you can't help but live within this system. You can't help it. As such, one's life and worldview are shaped by it to such an extent that one probably can't even imagine what it would be like, what an alternative way of life would look like. So those born into the cage live out its dictates, and in doing so, reproduce the cage in perpetuity. For this reason, Weber considered the iron cage a massive hindrance to freedom. So another way of looking at the iron cage would be if you or an individual tried to express I don't even know what they call it, a human expression that wasn't neatly categorized into either feminine or masculine, male or female. Their mode of being. Their mode of being could not be easily categorized into a binary system. All right. So this person is not living out the dictates of the greater society, which through tradition has maintained a binary system. Well, some Western imperialist tradition maintains a binary system. How about that? But what if some person breaks that mold? Well, the people around them are going to notice that the person is not adhering to the norms, and so they'll react negatively. Now remember, the people get their sense of self via the reflection they receive from other people. So if I'm going to say I want to be non-binary and I put out there non-binary because this is who I really am, This is how I feel inside. So I put out there non-binary, and the reflection I get back from society is, oh, you're a bad person. You're a bad person. You're a bad person. You need to conform to our binary system. You're a bad person. That's going to create some freaking tension. Just a little bit of tension. Just a little bit. Because inside you're saying non-binary, and outside all you're hearing is binary, 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 conform, conform, conform. And pain until you do. Right? That's an iron cage. Until perhaps you find some individuals who will see you and be like, okay, I don't care. That's cool. Whatever. Be you. That's great. That's fine. Oh, look. Those people do not live out the dictates of the iron cage. So they don't turn into agents of social control. Right? They don't turn into agents of social control. Whereas other people do. Okay. Social class is a deeply important concept and phenomenon in sociology. Today, sociologists have Max Weber to thank for pointing out that one's position in society relative to others is about more than how much money one has. He reasoned that the level of prestige associated with one's education and occupation, as well as one's political group affiliations, in addition to wealth, combine to create a hierarchy of people in society. Weber's thoughts on power and social stratification, which he shared in his book titled Economy and Society, led to the complex formulations of socioeconomic status and social class. So it's a combination of your money with, in addition to all the symbols that you can and social networks that you can amass that dictate where on this pyramid you will land. Right? So it's a combination of your money, who you know, and what symbols you have. Like, I could be a dirt poor farmer, right? I could be a dirt poor farmer with my little plot of land, like hardly any money. Like, I'll have a mortgage or something on my farm. But if I go into I don't know, to a town hall, and I stand up and I show a medal of my grandfather who served in a war, like, that symbol is massive prestige. Doesn't matter if I'm a dirt poor farmer. My grandfather was super important, or like a hero. Therefore, like, people around me, for good or for evil, or for good or for bad, are gonna give me an elevated platform on which to speak. All right. Your symbols and your material will dictate where you fall on this, and then where you fall in this structure is also where your relation is to the law. So if you have enough symbols and wealth, you are essentially above the law. And that's bad. We don't want that, right? Because in this kind of society, that's a society of fascism, of white supremacy, of rule of power. We want to get away from this. We want to create something better than this. For so much of human history, this is the structure that humans have operated under, and we are trying to break this. We are trying to make something different and new. This is what we want to make, right? This is what we want to make. We want to make democracy where everyone is relative to the law is going to be equal. Now, you're still going to have differences in prestige, right? Not everyone is going to be a war hero. Not everyone is going to be a great athlete. Not everyone is going to be a great poet or performer or rapper or musician. Not everyone can be the best at what they do. But that, you don't have to be the best at what you do. That's not what we're asking. We're asking for people to be equal before the law, and so that everyone has their material needs met. That is the very basic. Right? We don't mind hierarchy in terms of prestige, but not in terms of material well-being, right? Everyone should have their material well-being, their material needs met. Everyone should have access to food, shelter, clothing, healthcare. Everyone, internet even nowadays. Everyone should have access, because all these things are necessary to be a human. And the individual is not separate from society. Society is not separate from the individual. If we have individuals out there who are suffering because of society, that means society is not operating at its optimal capacity. And there could be improvements made, big time. There should be no suffering humans in our society. Okay. But remember, but when you take the perspective of symbolic interactionism, and you apply it to the knowledge of our world right now. I mean, right now we're going under, why did Derek Chauvin feel he could get away with murder? Why did he feel he could get away with murder? Because Derek Chauvin believes the world is that the society is made like this, and that the person he murdered, he felt was a person so low that they were underground, that you could not see them, that they were underground. They were so low that the law would not protect them. They were below, and that he was above the law, and that the person he was murdering was below the law. So far below that he could do it with impunity. That's what the trial is on. That's what we're having right now. And that's why it's important for Derek Chauvin to be found guilty and put away for a long time, because society has to demonstrate that no, this is not the way we are. We are not murderers. We are not white supremacy. We are rule of law. We are equality. We are all humans. We are dignity in life. Like, it's symbolic, and it has to be reproduced, reinforced. Because how did we get to the point where Derek Chauvin felt he could do that so nonchalantly? How did we get to that point where he's like, oh yeah, I can just murder this person, get away with it? Because it's happened before a lot, over and over and over again. That's how come he grew up seeing it be that way, and he thought, oh, that's the way it is. That's why I could do it. Just like when you walk into a restaurant, you expect the person who walks up to you with a notepad to be the waitress and who'll take your order. So you grow up with that expectation. Derek Chauvin, the police have done this for so long that new recruits just think that's the way it's done. You just murder people who you feel are so low that the law will not protect them. Abolish the police. Okay, if an enemy uses a broader definition of war than you, any attack on that portion of the spectrum where you are defenseless may inflict a decisive defeat. The worst part of such a defeat may be that you never knew that you were at war. You never saw what hit you. You never knew there was a chance for victory. You never knew that you were defeated. You don't believe in any of the above. That's why Russia is able to do what it does, because people won't call it what it is. That's why white supremacists and Nazis have gotten as far as they've gotten, because people in society, Democrats, leftists, liberals, whatever, centrists, won't call Nazis Nazis. Republicans are Nazis. The only reason why it's gotten this bad is because, it's people grow up with it, they see it, and they think, oh, that's just the way it is. The iron cage. So yeah, Republicans are Nazis, for sure, for sure. Let me demonstrate one more time why Republicans are Nazis. Let's see. All right. This photo here, this guy is, okay, so this is a photo of a guy that pulled out a gun on Sunday, last Sunday in Salem, in town, right? I was at this protest. I left at like 2:15. I got there 11:50, and I left at 2:15, so I left before this. But this guy, I had seen this guy drive by a few times, so it's not like he didn't know what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He got out and he whipped out a gun. So let's look at this guy, right? So this guy is he's in a demonstration, right? He was part of a demonstration. He's with a group of people that want to overthrow the United States government, okay? They staged an armed insurrection in the Capitol on January 6th of this year. They tried to murder Congress. And this guy is in support of the insurrection. Okay, remember, understand where we're at, right? So this guy is marching with his fellow insurrectionists in a show of force to intimidate the Americans, right? He wants to overthrow the country and install. He says he will kneel for the cross. So what I think is he's a follower of the white idol. The followers of the white idol, they appropriate symbols of Christianity and use them for themselves. Right? They're not actually Christians. What they are, they're white supremacists, and they appropriate the symbols of Christianity in order to justify white supremacy. Right? The religion. If you talk to Jesus isn't a white supremacist. Nope. Jesus is got nothing to do with white supremacy. So, but the white supremacists, they follow this white idol, and they take the symbols of Christianity and apply them to white supremacy in order to justify them. So this guy says he will stand up for the flag and he will kneel for the cross. Not because, I don't know. This is the flag of the country he wants to overthrow. So, and then back there, I don't understand it, but he likes to just like his white idol religion appropriates the symbols of Christianity for themselves. He's a Nazi. So he's appropriating the symbols of the country he wants to overthrow. And you see here, you can see this is how he's a Nazi. He's all about violence. Deadly force. Nazis are all about violence. So here's another view. So that's the country he wants to overthrow, right? So I guess you can say that it's like camouflage. He's trying to hide the fact that he's a Nazi. Remember, you have to understand, why is he here? Because he wants to overthrow the government. That's the whole reason why he's out here. That's his whole thing. His whole thing is to overthrow the government. His whole thing. That's why he's there. That guy's a traitor and a Nazi. His truck says something about Vietnam. So I don't know what that's about. He's got the flag of the country he wants to overthrow. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, dude. He's a Nazi. But do you see how he tries to appropriate symbols to legitimize himself? To give himself prestige? So, okay. Remember, Republicans are Nazis, and they've been Nazis for a long time. So if you remember in the 2000 election, what happened in the 2000 election? Florida, the vote was really close. And there was one precinct that was counting the votes, and this is a very important precinct. And so Roger Stone got a mob of white guys, of white supremacists, and he attacked the poll counting station. He attacked it. I'm not joking, dude. I'm not joking. This is what it looked like. They took a picture of it. This is in 2000. All right, November 2000, the year 2000. Roger Stone and a bunch of white guys invaded the counting place, the counting building in Florida, in order to get them to stop counting the vote, to overthrow the election and give it to George W. Bush. All right? Imagine what would have happened that instead of these white guys stopping the vote, what would have happened if there would have been a mass shooting of trespassers who tried to stop an election, and all these people got gunned down and all died. Imagine all these people got gunned down, right? Well, you wouldn't. Al Gore would be president, number one. Number two, all the Republicans after that would come out and say, "Oh, we can't put gun control." even though what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many, like 15 people got murdered. 15 white rich people got murdered. The Republicans would be like, "Oh, we can't get rid of gun control," but because President Al Gore, gun control happens. Oh, then 9/11 happens. Oh, but because of President Al Gore, he doesn't lie and send us into Iraq. Oh, wow, if we don't lie and get sent into Iraq, that means Syria doesn't collapse and Iraq doesn't collapse. And that means we don't get bogged down in a war. And maybe we start, with President Al Gore, maybe we switch to climate change then. Like, holy shit. Imagine what the world, and then because we're Americans, after 5 years, after all these white people got gunned down trying to stop an election, we would have forgot about it. Right? The way we forget about mass shootings all the time. We would have forgot about it. How much better of a timeline would it have been if instead of these people stopping the election and stealing the 2000 election and staging a coup of the United States, instead they got gunned down as trespassers, as violent trespassers. Wow, the difference in the world would have been. Wow. But Donald Trump tried to do the same thing in Pennsylvania. He tried to send a violent mob down to the counting offices in Pennsylvania to get them to stop counting the vote. And the police stopped them. But they tried anyways, and they were very intimidating. Right? Republicans are Nazis. Republicans are Nazis. Some of them, the lower levels may not know it, may not realize it, but they're Nazis. Now, wait a minute. Keep that thought in mind. Also, let's look at this other thing. I want you hold on to that thought in your mind. Let's look at this other place. Remember Myanmar? It's a country it's in Southeast Asia. It's next to Thailand, and Bangladesh is on the other side of it, and then on the other side of that is India. Okay. Myanmar used to be called Burma, and it was under British colonial rule until 1946 or whatever, right? Wow. And then Burma got independence, but then there was a military dictatorship, and there was a military dictatorship forever until I think 2011, when they finally had democracy. Well, just a couple of days ago, or like a couple of weeks ago, the military overthrew democracy and started murdering people again. And you think, how could the military murder its own people? How could the military just shoot its own people? How could they do that? And I found a video. So yeah, I found this video about what's going down So the junta forces are known as the Madwa, and yeah, okay. It has its own corporate conglomerates, banks, hospitals, schools, insurance agencies, stock options, mobile networks, and vegetable farms. The Madwa have murdered more than 420 people in 2021 between February 1st to March 28th. They just murdered people. They assault, they just kill people, right? They're just murderers. But why would the military murder their own people? How does that happen? Oh, they're brainwashed. How are they brainwashed? Wow. So wait a minute. So if I change this around, if they are told a Muslim cabal is trying to destroy Christianity, influential preachers preach that that Muslims oh wait no what that Christians and white people must unite to combat Islam. Like it's the same thing, right? It's just so it's fascism, just in a different flavor. Do you see how fascism is the same? It just has a different flavor depending on the culture and where it manifests. It's the same thing. Right? Like a cult. Right? They isolate themselves. Right? Like Fox News does to people. Yep, a lot of soldiers are on bases tuned to Fox News all the time. I don't know about that. But I guess that's like, how people never leave town or whatever. I don't know. Oh, yeah, women are like slaves. Yeah, the military rule is evil. But the people, but check it out. The families and soldiers are being constantly monitored. They're under a panopticon, always being watched. They're always being watched and monitored and always being conditioned. So they're like being brainwashed, literally being brainwashed. Just like they're brainwashed here in the United States by Fox News. The same thing. The same thing with Antifa and stuff like that. And migrant hordes, like they do the same thing. Yeah, except they call them Republican representatives. It's the same thing. They even use the same boogeyman. The same boogeyman, George Soros. The same boogeyman. Yeah, remember what I told you about how social coercion works? Social pressure. Yep. It's a mind control. That's what Russia does. Russia is all about, or not Russia, but Putin. Putin is all about mind control. Because they don't have the strength to attack us directly. So they use mind control. And if you don't think they can attack your mind, then it's great for them. See what I mean? Yeah, I don't know about Yak News. I don't know about them. I just saw that and thought, is that true? Is that what's really going on? Because that's exactly what's happening here, or that's what Donald Trump was trying to do. The same thing. So we got oh wait. Oh no. The same thing. So remember, if an enemy uses a broader definition of war than you, any attack on that portion of the spectrum where you are defenseless may inflict a decisive defeat. If you don't think that Putin can use the race, can ally with the racists and the white supremacists here in the United States to attack us, we could. I mean, like, they've already tried to almost overthrow the country. Look at this guy. They have dudes trying to patrol about overthrowing the government. That they have armed people, armed military, or they have armed militia traveling the countryside, trying to intimidate the people into accepting that they're going to overthrow the government. They want to overthrow the government. Right. Make no mistake, right? Republicans want to overthrow the government. They're Nazis. Don't forget it. And it's because they're brainwashed. And you can see the way they do it in Myanmar is the same way they do it here through Fox News and through right-wing media. And through symbolic interactionism, you understand the power of those symbols and of that conditioning. All right. What else we got here? Okay. So this will give you an example. This will help you understand, all right? This is Republicans. These are Republicans, right? They use Nazi symbols. They blew Nazi dog whistles. They said Nazis were fine people. They court white supremacists, and the Ku Klux Klan is on their side, right? So, and on this side you have Americans, the Allies, Antifa, anti-fascists, right? The guys who killed the Nazis are known as anti-fascists. All right. So, did you have a grandpa who was an anti-fascist? I did. I had a grandpa who was an anti-fascist. Okay. So another thing, part of my job is I talk to people. And I found out, I talked to this one guy, and yeah, insulin. How much does insulin cost? Well, it's the most expensive in China, second most expensive in India. The third most expensive place in the world for insulin is the United States. Insulin is really expensive. What is the thing that connects China, India, and the United States? I don't know. An authoritarian government? I don't know. Price of insulin worldwide. What do we got here? So rapid acting insulin in the United States, it's $6. The Dominican Republic, it's $1.33. In Poland, it's $1. In Cyprus, it's 3 cents. In Argentina, Austria, and Italy, it's free. But United States, $6. All right. Humalog. United States, $13.47. Chile, $6.95. Canada, $3.16. Brazil, $2.57. India, $2.30. Japan, $2. Rwanda, 10 cents. France, Italy, Lithuania, Portugal, it's free. Novolog. In the United States, it's $9.20. Singapore, $4.80. Syrian Arab Republic, $3.03. India, $2.39. Egypt, $2.13. South Africa, 74 cents. Australia, 60 cents. Austria, 48 cents. New Zealand, 27 cents. Humalin, United States, 39 bucks. Ghana, 2.30. Pakistan, 50 cents. India, 36 cents. Rwanda, 10 cents. The UK, it's free. Wow. The absurdly high cost of insulin explained by Julia Belluz. Why is insulin so expensive? Why? Wait a minute, this is not working. Why is insulin so expensive? With type 1 diabetes, which affects about 5% of the people with diabetes in the US, the immune system attacks the insulin-producing cells in the pancreas, leaving the body with little or none of the hormone. In type 2 diabetes, the pancreas still makes insulin, but the body has grown resistant to its effects. In both cases, patients rely on insulin medication to keep energy from food flowing into their bodies. The U.S. is a global outlier on money spent on the drug, representing only 15% of the global insulin market and generating almost half of the pharmaceutical insulin industry's insulin revenue. 15% of the market creates half of the revenue. Why? Why does the United States pay for half of the revenue of the global insulin market by one country? According to a recent study in JAMA Internal Medicine, in the 1990s, Medicare paid between $2.36 and $4.43 per unit of insulin. By 2014, those prices more than tripled, depending on the formulation. 3.5. Oh, wait. 4. So there's the graph of how prices have increased. They were pretty much stable until what? 2002? Well, here, 2000 jumped up. That one jumped up. And then just a steady rise, dude. Look at it. It's gotten crazy. Look at that exponential rise. It got more in that time. It increased more in 2 years than it did. Yeah, here, that one. So this is in between 2003 and 2015 or 14. So 2012 to 2014. That's the increase. 2-year increase. It increased more in 2 years than at any other time since 91. In 2 years, it increased in price more than at any time before. Oh, what? Oh, it goes only to 2000. So, never mind. Well, here, we're going like this. All right, from 2003 to 2009. Anyways, it's a dumb amount of time. In a short amount of time, prices have skyrocketed. In England, the government has an agency that negotiates directly with pharmaceutical companies. The government sets a maximum price it will pay for a drug, and if companies don't agree, they simply lose out on the entire market. The US doesn't do that. Instead, America has taken a free market approach to pharmaceuticals. Drug companies haggle separately over drug prices with a variety of private insurers across the country. Meanwhile, Medicare, the government healthcare program for those over the age of 65, is also the nation's largest buyer of drugs, is barred from negotiating. The person with the biggest share of the market is barred from negotiating prices. Why would you do that? Oh, to help pharmaceutical companies. Who would do that? Oh, Republicans. Why? Because they want to concentrate power and wealth. Oh, yeah. Because Republicans are Nazis. See, look at Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren in the 115th Congress put in Affordable Drug Manufacturing Act of 2018. The Affordable Drug Manufacturing Act would create a new federal office to combat the current private sector-only production of prescription drugs. The new Office of Drug Manufacturing would be a subset. It would produce drugs. It would produce cheap drugs, basically. So, yeah, the Democrats want to get around it by producing cheap drugs directly by the government. But it was defeated by Republicans because they want the profits to go to pharmaceutical companies. So, because they're Nazis, right? But if you want to know why the cost of insulin is so high, it's because the drug companies want to make a lot of money, and Republicans want to protect the profits of drug companies. So they made it so that you can't. They made it so that you can't negotiate directly, right? That's Elizabeth Warren. But you know what? That's not. But there's one Democrat who's a bad guy, right? That guy is Joe Manchin. That Democrat is Joe Manchin. Nira Tandon once criticized Joe Manchin's pharma CEO's daughter. Right. So this woman was nominated to be part of Joe Biden's cabinet. But she said something bad. She said mean things about a CEO of a pharmaceutical company that was making a lot of money. That CEO who was making a lot of money, that pharmaceutical company, is the daughter of Joe Manchin, a senator. So Joe Manchin said, "Oh, I don't like that you said something about my rich daughter, so I'm going to stop your nomination." Joe Manchin said he will not vote in support of Tandon's nomination. So he said he wants to take meaningful steps to end the political divide and dysfunction, right? So Joe Manchin, wait, I want to focus on that quote. Joe Manchin said he wants to, as I have said before, we must take meaningful steps to end the political division and dysfunction that pervades our politics. So the filibuster is a perfect example of a thing that is creating division and distrust. But Joe Manchin loves it. He's a Nazi. He loves it. His daughter is a rich CEO who's making bank off of bilking poor people by raising the price of insulin of drugs. And he loves it because she's a Nazi too. They're both Nazis. Joe Manchin and his daughter are Nazis. Right? Nina Tandon previously criticized, the CEO of pharmaceutical company Mylan, Heather Brecht, who's the daughter of Senator Joe Manchin. It highlighted that the company's board said that this was justified as she had contributed significantly to the company's growth. Right? So they're saying that. All she said that the idea that only the CEO contributes to a company's growth and not all the employees is really pernicious. She didn't even directly criticize his daughter. She real broad saying, you know what? You should give a raise to everyone because everyone helped that company, not just the CEO. That's what she said. And Joe Manchin, because he's a terrible Nazi, he used that to stop her from joining Joe Biden's cabinet. Joe Biden wanted her, and Joe Manchin stopped it because Joe Manchin loves Nazis more than he loves America. Joe Manchin loves Nazis more than he loves Americans. All right, I think that's it. Okay, just so you understand, just so you know, you now have a little bit more of symbolic interactionism to work from. You guys should do the rest on your own. And yeah.